Hello everybody, it's Julia here with a video for you. Today we're going to be having a look at some tarot decks, well, two tarot decks actually, and an oracle deck that I've bought already in June of this month. I don't plan on buying any more tarot cards or oracle decks this month at least, but I couldn't resist these ones actually. I've recently had a little bit of a clear out, and I sold a few of my decks, a few of my older decks on eBay over the last couple of weeks, and I decided to put that money towards buying some new decks. So that's what I've done. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to pause this video and put timestamps on it for the 3 different decks. So if you're only interested in one, you can skip forward to the deck that you're interested in. But anyway, I'm going to start with the Tarot of the Cat People. This is a deck that I'd seen online several times actually, and just really admired. If you've watched many of my videos, you'll know that I really like cat tarot decks, cat oracle decks, and I'd been looking for something that was a little bit different, and I found this. This is, I bought this from eBay, from a UK seller on eBay, and this deck, I believe, is from 1985. It's quite an old deck, and I've only quickly flicked through it, so it'll be really interesting to have a look through it today. I was a bit disappointed with the box, I have to say. Not the fact that it's just a little cardboard carton, because that's often the way with tarot decks, but really just that the person that sold it to me, she left a big sticker on the top, which I haven't managed to pick off yet. There was another sticker here, which I've nearly got off, and then a big sticker here at the bottom, which again I haven't managed to pick off yet, and this sticker here had $14.99 on it, which she sold the deck to me for $24.99. So either she put the price up drastically to sell to me, or she's had this deck a long time, and it's kind of sat on her shelf, I would imagine. I think this deck, as I said, is very old. These stickers seem to be very old, and perhaps it was $14.99 once upon a time. But I was happy to pay $24.99, you know, because it's quite a rare deck, I think, as I said, and yeah, I was quite happy to pay that. It's it says on the bottom, printed in Belgium, and exclusively for US game systems, copyright 1985 by US game systems. On the side of the box it says, the full colour 78 Tarot of the Cat People is set in a distant place known as the Outer Regions. Each card depicts a full-length portrait of a stunning figure in ornate dress with elaborate jewellery and a headdress. The Tarot of the Cat People blends tarot symbolism with the imagery of science fiction and fantasy. Cats appear everywhere, enhancing the interpretation of the deck, and it's complete with a booklet of instructions. So there we go. And it does indeed come with a little book, which actually has got quite a lot of information in it. It's got a meaning, a divinatory meaning and a reverse meaning, and they also in the book talk a little bit about the lady who created the deck and her inspiration for creating the deck, and her name, which I'm now going to murder as it's a foreign name and I'm rubbish at such things. Her name which I can't see under the sticker on the box, is Karen Q. Kendall, I believe. Karen Q. See, I can't do words from foreign languages. Karen Q. Kendall is her name. She is the creator of the Tarot of the Cat People. She has designed this deck and she's done all of the artwork for this deck. So before I show you the cards, I'm just going to read a little bit from the introduction book, because as I said, this is a deck that is set in a different world, really. What have we got here? Generally, the major arcana cards represent the physical and spiritual forces affecting humanity, such as illness, death, storm, strength, power, love, and religion. The minor arcana are divided into 4 suits of swords, wands, cups, and pentacles, corresponding to spades, clubs, hearts, and diamonds, respectively. The minor arcana cards generally represent occupations, social positions, and status. It says Karen Q. Kendall, the creator of the Tarot of the Cat People, is called by people who know her the Cat Lady. Her art has been influenced not only by females, but also by architecture, anthropology, art history, costuming history, her travels in Europe, Mexico, and the United States, and especially by the location of her present home, the desert of Arizona. She's got various art degrees. What else? I think she's developed furniture over time. I would imagine this is an extremely creative lady. She's got books here on art and design and paper mache. It says presently Karen Q. Kendall continues to paint and create a line of papier mache jewellery, similar to that seen in the figures of the Tarot of the Cat People. She appears at science fiction conventions dressed in her rich flowing costumes. She devoted more than 2 years to the preparation of the original art for the Tarot of the Cat People. Each original card was painted on acrylic on board measuring 9.5 inches by 15.5 inches. So that's quite amazing, isn't it? So these people and these cats are set in a land called the Outer Regions. There are 5 kingdoms within the Outer Regions, and that is Vapala, which are the major arcana, the Diamond Kingdom and the Sky People. Thenosis, the Ruby Kingdom, where people are called the Fire People. Twahihik, the Emerald Kingdom, where people are known as the Sand People. And the Azenga, the Topaz Kingdom, where inhabitants are called the Salt People. And then we've got the Suit of Pentacles, which is Kahulaware, the Sapphire Kingdom, whose inhabitants are the Rock People. So she's even got her own language, hasn't she, for these cards and the people within them. So let's have a little look at the cards themselves. I just love them, to be honest. You can see her design background, can't you? This is the back of the cards. And these, I think I was attracted to them really because these images of cats are like something from the 70s, aren't they? They're sort of a bit psychedelic, aren't they, really, in the colours and the shapes and themes here. It's all a little bit psychedelic. So we've got the Fool with, I think, a cat there biting him, which is, I would say, a warning, isn't it, about where he's now headed. into this sort of void-like place, I would imagine. The Magician there. What I've noticed about all of these cards, which I particularly love, is the clothes that the people are wearing in them. I don't know what it is, but they kind of remind me of Gustav Klimt's artwork in many ways. I think you'll see what I mean as we go along if you know who Gustav Klimt is. He did The Kiss and various other portraits. I've got, what have I got? I've got The Tree of Life, The Mermaids. I've got several of his canvases. So as you can see, there's different cats in all of these pictures as well. Look at that, look. They're just so splendid, aren't they, in their clothing and costumes. High Priest, who's the Hierophant. The Lovers, which is a beautiful card, isn't it? This is almost like The Kiss, isn't it, with Gustav Klimt? I think that's what it's reminding me of, really. The Chariot. The Hermit. I think he's the only one who's not in some kind of splendid gown, really. The Wheel of Fortune. I think the other thing I've noticed about these cards as well is that everybody in them has quite serious and even quite stern sort of faces. Very, very serious, sort of determined faces. There's not a lot of emotion shown in most of these cards. Everybody is kind of poker faced in them, I feel. Death there with a skeleton cat. Temperance, that's a very nice card, isn't it? But as you can see, everyone's kind of fierce looking, really. Look at that, the Devil, look. Really makes you wonder, I think, who's underneath that cloak. What actually you would see if you pulled that cloak away. Could be anything, couldn't it, under there? Doesn't quite look like a man. The Tower. The Star. The Moon. The Sun, which I really like. We've got Leo there, haven't we? Obviously with the lion, which to me always represents the sun. Rejuvenation. I think this is one of the few, so this is Judgment, isn't it? This is one of the few cards where we see any real emotion on anybody's face. And the cat, actually, even in this card. And then we've got the World. I'm going to show you the Suit of Swords. I probably won't go through all of the cards because otherwise we're going to be here all day, aren't we? This is the King of Swords. And then we've got the Queen of Swords. I don't know whether you know what I mean about the sort of Gustav Klimt sort of reminiscent feeling in the clothing and the design of some of these cards. The Knight of Swords. Page of Swords. The Ten of Swords. Some of these cards are easier to read intuitively than others. I would probably say that this is not a deck for beginners, just because I think that there isn't a great deal of emotion showed in these cards. There is often cats and a person and the suit, you know, either the sword, the pentacle, the cup or the wand, and not a great deal else. some of them are quite easy to interpret, even if you didn't know a great deal about tarot, but others not so much, like this one here, the Six of Swords. I guess from that we can take that, well, the Six of Swords to me often just represents sort of moving into calmer times, things feeling a little bit better, things being calmer in your mind, maybe leaving some negativity behind. And I guess it's quite difficult to see that within these cards, isn't it? We've got two different coloured swords there. Yeah, there's movement, isn't there? But not quite as easy to read as the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. This one, the Five of Swords, as I said, very difficult to know what's actually going on there in that card. This one, I think the Four of Swords is quite easy to read. We can see here that just she's having a time out, isn't she? This is a time of relaxation. She's playing with the cats. Everyone looks quite relaxed. We've got here the Three of Swords, which, you know, traditionally is a very painful card, isn't it? A card of, normally we see a heart with three swords in it. So again, as a complete beginner, I'm not quite sure what you might make of that card. But for the artwork, the design of these cards, I just think they're fantastic, and I'm really pleased to add them to my collection, my ever-increasing collection of tarot cards. And we've got the Ace of Swords there. I think also what's difficult about these cards as well is that the colours in them often don't represent the colours that I would traditionally associate with that particular suit or that particular card. Like these are wands, which you would imagine would be fiery, yet we've got a very greeny blue sort of hue here with wands, haven't we? So, and with the swords, you know, we might expect a sort of grey or pale blue or, you know, those sort of colours. And here we've got sort of reds and pinks and browns. And so, as I said, perhaps not cards for beginners, but then again, look, but then amongst all of that I've just said, we've got a Knight of Wands here, and this does look like the Knight of Wands, doesn't it, to me? As I said, I don't particularly think these are cards for beginners, but I think if you like cat decks and you're an experienced reader, I think this is a deck that you would love. As I said, I don't think that you can just buy these. I don't know whether they're still in print, to be honest. I haven't looked that carefully. I don't know whether you'd just be able to buy them on Amazon or any other sort of online bookshop, but as I said, I did find these on eBay from a private seller who had them in her collection. So I'm really pleased to have them. I hope you like them. As I said, they're a little bit sort of psychedelic. There's a little bit of a 70s influence going on there, but there's also some real strong sort of design elements in the clothing and the jewellery and just the general style, the cats, everything in these cards. There was something about the cats, wasn't there, I wanted to say. Where is it? Suit of Swords. I read something about the cats here. Well, here we are. Throughout the outer regions, cats are loved, honoured and even obeyed. Small cats are beloved pets and companions. Black panthers are guardians and patrollers. Leopards control the size and health of wild herds. The rare and magnificent long-haired and thick-furred blue leopard is the companion of kings, queens and emperors, but only if that noble cat chooses the ruler's company. Anyone who has earned the trust of a blue leopard will have a loyal and loving companion for life. Cats are living animals. They are everywhere and as themes in sculpture, jewellery and music, with some instruments imitating their sounds perfectly. A favourite pastime is exchanging cat stories, and in all the inhabited areas of the outer regions, much reverence and love is accorded to the cat. Well, so it should be. I agree with that. So there we go. That's my first deck to show you. I hope that you enjoyed that, and I'm going to pause the video now and I shall be back in a second with my second deck. Hello. So I'm back with my second deck here, and this is a deck I've seen people use a lot on YouTube, the Sun and Moon Tarot, and I was trying to sort of decide whether I fancied the full-size deck or the tarot in a tin, and I went for the tarot in a tin in the end. Just, I don't know really, probably, well, I bought the, what did I buy? I bought the Morgan Greer tarot in a tin, and I just love the idea of having something that I can just stick in a bag and not have to worry about it getting bashed about, and I can take it places with me if I want. So I went for the tarot in a tin. So this is a deck designed by Vanessa DeCourt. This is by US Games. I think I bought this off Amazon. It doesn't cost very much. I think it might have been £13 or £14 here in the UK. And I'm so impressed with these little decks. I'm so impressed actually with the guidebook that has come with this. It's amazing the information she's packed into here, to be honest, really. We've got all of the astrology here. She tells you which card is linked with what astrology. There's lots and lots of different sort of metaphysical insights from different cultures, different religions. Lots and lots of astrology in here. I'm really, really quite impressed actually with this little deck. I can't think of anything about it that I don't like. What have we got here? We've got a little card that talks about the artist. So she earned her degrees in graphic design in Brussels. She's illustrated children's books. She teaches art classes. It says since she was a teenager, Vanessa DeCourt has been attracted to astrology, Jungian archetypes, alchemy, and various symbols from around the world. And perhaps that's why it resonates so strongly for me, because that's kind of my background really. Jungian archetypes is something that I really do enjoy, and I've been eternally interested and fascinated by. So like I said, I've got nothing bad to say about this deck, and I'm really looking forward to starting to use it. I'm not a big sort of fan of the back of decks particularly. They're not something that I get majorly excited about, but I just love this. I love how simple that is. I really, really like this little deck. I probably wish, to be honest, that it didn't have these big thick borders around the cards, just because the cards are so small. It would be really nice just to see the full picture. I was just trying to think. Yeah, I mean, when I look at my Morgan Greer tarot in a tin, which don't have a border on, I much prefer this kind of design to this. it would be nice to see, this is the little Morgan Greer tarot, but it would be nice to see the full picture, wouldn't it? So let's just have a look. I love all of the different animals. They're quite childlike, some of her pictures here. You know, this kind of reminds me a little bit of me when my son was younger, of reading him Peter Pan stories of the crocodile. Did he eat a clock? Something like that. I'm not sure, but there's all sorts of symbology on these cards that Vanessa actually does explain in her little guidebook, which you don't always get that. That's something I actually feel quite frustrated about sometimes, is when there is a lot of symbology on a deck and there's no real sort of explanation for what certain things mean. But I think Vanessa does really go into much of the symbology on her cards. And I think she uses colour very cleverly as well to represent different energies. They're quite modern, they're quite contemporary. I really, really do like these cards very much. The Chariot there, look. With a brown bull and a white bull. Really interesting. We've got Justice here. It's like a fairy. Really nice cards, aren't they? The Hermit. And we've got this kind of Buddhist philosophy going on there. The crocodile's made an appearance again in the Wheel of Fortune. Strength. This time we've got a wolf, haven't we? Rather than the usual lion. The Hanged Man. This is fantastic, this image here of rebirth, of death, being the phoenix, which makes so much sense, doesn't it? The yin and the yang of temperance. That's lovely. This is fantastic. I like that as the devil. I think that's a good card. I think in this card we're sort of seeing here really that if these people were to just let go of each other, they would be free, wouldn't they? It's not particularly the devil that's keeping them entangled, is it? It's each other. And obviously we could look at that as being the yin and the yang of a person, or this could be some kind of codependence energy, couldn't it, within this card? You've got the Tower, the Star, the Moon. There's a lot of very traditional sort of Rider-Waite type energy, but she's just added extra elements in here, hasn't she, from different cultures and different religions around the world, which I love. Judgment. Excuse me. And the Universe. That's a fantastic card, that is, isn't it? Who has she got representing the four corners there? Does she say? I mean, we've obviously got Shiva in the middle. The Hindu god Shiva is both the creator and the destroyer. The cosmic dancer is in a Vesica Pisces shape. What's that? I'm not sure what that means. If you turn the card horizontally, you will see an eye shape. He is holding a sadhu drum that vibrates the Om sound. Yes, we do, don't we? In the other hand, he's holding the flame of destruction. His crown bears the symbols of the moon and the sun, and the cobra and the skull. The cosmic dancer has united the female and male principles along with all other opposites. Through his dance movements, he balances cosmic forces for a holistic approach to life. His forearms conjure the four winds, four beings, four directions, and four elements. So there's absolutely tons of symbology within these cards, isn't there? I'll just show you the sword suit. I'm not going to show you all the cards. The Two of Swords. I like also that there's a keyword at the top of these cards as well in the main minor arcana here. We've got sorrow for the Three of Swords. And I think this card shows very clearly that this is a card of air, isn't it? This is a card of the mind, and these swords are representing painful thoughts, aren't they? Where the direction of your thoughts have gone to a painful place. Four of Swords. Five of Swords. Sorry, I'm putting my heater on and off. It's quite warm outside, but it's chilly indoors. The Six of Swords, and we've got science here. That's a strange word to put with the Six of Swords, isn't it? Let's have a look at that. I think she's put science because this is Mercury in Aquarius. This is curiosity, knowledge, or mental exploration, an objective and rational mind. So perhaps that's sort of, this is about the ability to think analytically and to cover all information. So normally when we talk about the Six of Swords, we talk about moving away from difficult energies, and perhaps that's what she means here in this ability to think analytically, to be curious and have mental exploration, to have a rational mind, is kind of moving away from difficult and challenging emotions, isn't it? So I think perhaps these cards in some ways need a little bit of a different sort of approach, perhaps. They need thinking about in slightly different ways, but I think the message is very clear, isn't it? The Eight of Swords, and this is interference. We can see that there, can't we? The Nine of Swords, cruelty. Normally we sort of see somebody waking up out of a nightmare, don't we? Somebody in their bed. But this is kind of mental cruelty, isn't it? And the Ten of Swords, ruin, the word there, and I think that's a really, really good word to sum up the general feeling of the Ten of Swords. It's a very, very difficult and painful card, the Ten of Swords. And that something being ruined makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? And we've got the Princess of Swords, which is lovely. The Prince of Swords. The Queen of Swords. And the King of Swords. So they're all kind of young people within these cards, aren't they? I love them, to be honest. I think that these would be suitable for both beginners as well as more advanced practitioners of tarot. I think even just with this little guidebook here, you could soon start to read with these cards and learn a great deal from them. I think particularly if you're interested in astrology or various cultures, various religions, various metaphysical ideas, symbology. This would be a great deck for you. It's just absolutely loaded with symbology. Absolutely loaded with it. I didn't read the full amount for the world card, the universe card there, but there's tons more. She's talking about Hebrew characters, the hand gestures, the mudras, the yoga positions, the fire circle. There's a dwarf of ignorance within that card. There's an infant. I mean, there's just tons and tons of symbology within these cards. The Ace of Cups she's got here represented as the Holy Grail. I think this little book actually is fantastic, and to be honest, I don't normally take any notice of these little sort of booklets that come with many tarot decks, but I shall be studying this actually, because I think this will help me sort of get some more astrology kind of stuck in my head, and I also think it'd be really interesting to explore the symbology and the religious icons throughout this deck. Yeah, it's fascinating. Well, I could go on about this for a long time actually. I'm really pleased with this little deck, and I think I could easily see myself buying the full size of this deck at some point, because I really do like it. So there we go. As I said, if you like astrology and symbology and you like to understand every little nuance of what you're seeing on your cards, this is a brilliant deck with a brilliant little guidebook. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed that, and I shall be back in a sec with my last deck. Okay, so I'm here with my last deck that I've recently bought, and this is the Power of Surrender Oracle cards. They're by Judith Orloff, MD. She looks like she's a New York Times best-selling author of The Power of Surrender. This is a 52 card deck to transform your life by letting go. This is a deck by Hay House. There's no thick book that comes with this deck, which is something that we normally get with oracle decks. There's just sort of like a little booklet, but these cards have got writing on them, and I don't think you need sort of so much of a thick book to go with them. This is literally, which was stuck in the bottom of the box. You get just this little instruction booklet, which really literally is a few pages, and this really just tells you how to use the cards and how to apply the message to your life. Tells you a little bit about the author. It looks like she's written lots of books, Judith Orloff. I may have one of her books somewhere or other. I've got so many, I can't remember, to be honest. Emotional Freedom rings a bell. I think I may well have Emotional Freedom, which she's written. There's Second Sight, Guide to Intuitive Healing and Positive Energy. Yeah. So it's Judith Orloff. She's an intuitive healer with a private practice in Los Angeles. Yeah. So these are really nice cards, and I think these are something that I will use a lot in my own private practice, to be honest, because As I said, you often with oracle cards, you're reliant quite heavily on the guidebook that comes with them. Sometimes the images on the cards are not that intuitive, and the guidebooks are so fantastic that they're worth reading. But with this deck, there's no guidebook to read. There are just words on the cards. So I shall show you some of them. Surrender to spirit. And this says on the card, once you've done everything you can to achieve a goal, turn the situation over to the divine. Let spirit work its magic for you. So that's really good advice, isn't it? I think these are all just cards of good advice. Surrender to setting limits. It is healthy to set boundaries in relationships. Practice expressing your needs, and remember that no is a complete sentence. And we've got that very much there with the hand, haven't we? That is like no, that is a boundary. Surrender fear. Let go of the fearful stories you are telling yourself. Stay in the moment, focus on solutions, and celebrate every baby step forward. Surrender to the wisdom of your body. Surrender to your soul's path. Surrender to non-action. So now is the time to be still and not act. Simply breathe and focus on your own power and let others come to you. And see, I can already see how these cards would be very useful for me. There are often times where I'm confused, or I feel in a dilemma about what to do, which path to take next, whether I should act or should I wait. And I think these cards will be fantastic for that, actually. Surrender to trust. It's about trusting yourself and having courage in your convictions. Surrender your addictions. Whether you're addicted to substances, food, people, sex, or overworking, take action to begin to heal the addiction and replace it with healthier alternatives. Surrender to passion. That's about getting out of your head. Surrender to play. So it's lovely. This is not just about very serious things, is it? This is also about just having more quality of life, having more well-being, enjoying your life. Surrender to inner peace. Surrender to success. Surrender to the natural beauty of the world. Surrender your fear of change. That's a biggie, isn't it? The universe is reminding you that you are cared for always. Whether you're afraid of a change in your job, your health, or a relationship, or if you fear aging or death, repeat the affirmation, I have faith that all is well. I really, really like these cards. They're gentle, practical, peaceful. Surrender frustration. They're all cards, really, that remind us to check in with our higher good, aren't they? I know myself, something that I've tried to sort of practice over the years is that whenever I'm faced with a choice that feels uncomfortable, or I'm afraid of doing something, or I'm confused about doing something, I will always ask myself, is this for your higher good? And if the answer is yes, well, even if it's uncomfortable, sometimes it's necessary, isn't it? Surrender to creativity. Surrender worry. Very important. Surrender stubbornness. Surrender to what is. Surrender unhealthy relationships. This is a biggie for me. Surrender procrastination. Now is the time to jump on a goal instead of putting it off. Taking action will attract success. That's something I struggle with a lot. I go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and I can end up tying myself in knots over making certain decisions. So I can already see so many ways that these cards would be helpful for me. Surrender to prayer. Surrender to silence. Surrender your fear of intimacy. Surrender your idea that someone can fix you. Oh, surrender the idea you can fix someone. And that somebody can fix you as well. Surrender to joy. Surrender to your full power. Surrender your belief in scarcity. It's interesting, isn't it? So there we go. That's sort of more than half the cards. These are really, really nice cards. And like I said, I can see myself using them a lot in my own private practice. But I think I can also see myself using them as like a final card in readings, some advice for the universe, something to sort of sum up a reading really and give the viewer some final advice about what to do about the situation that they're in. So yeah, beautiful oracle cards. I'm really, really pleased with those. And I shall look forward to using them soon. I can get them back in the box. There we go. So there we go. There's my 3 decks. So we had the Tarot of the Cat People, the Sun and the Moon Tarot, and the Power of Surrender cards. Like I said, I shall try not to buy any more cards for June because it's naughty. And I hope to see you again soon. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you.